estate accessories industry has been facing tough time in the recent years, and that's because real estate industry has been facing a tough time. The ripple effect has caused so much of problems for the accessories industries, the entire range of accessories industries, but it also provides fantastic opportunities for real estate developers and architects to get the best deal for themselves. What are these ways of doing business with accessories industry during a downturn? To discuss that today we have with us Kushal Bajaj. He is the Executive Director of Geeta Aluminium. To tell you about Geeta Aluminium, Geeta Aluminium has been a market leader in doors and window panels for large real estate and urban infrastructure projects. Thank you so much, Mr. Bajaj, for being with us. First of all, let me ask you the basic question. There is so much of confusion between doors and windows to begin with. French windows are also considered to be doors. How does it work?
So thank you so much for that kind introduction. First of all, Anil, very good morning. Basically, doors and windows, it goes a long way. It's actually got a legacy starting from wooden windows and doors, and then moved on to.
I ask you that question because real estate developers say when you go for approvals,
Yeah.
You take a lot of time to make the approval authority to understand that there's also a window, there's also a door.
Yeah. Because.
Anyway,
Yeah.
besides all the joke, let me ask you first thing.
Yeah.
First question is about the technological advances in aluminum doors and windows.
Okay.
Can you tell us quickly about what kind of advances have come to India, especially for large projects of real estate, townships and infrastructure?
The thing is, when you talk about advancements, you have to look at Indian market in a very different way, because the real estate market in the last 3 years has been very different from how the other parts of the world has moved. With radar demonetization, there has been a ripple effect, like you rightly spoke about. So the advancements has been more in the value engineering part, where people are looking at something for something which is more economical, more value for money, something more for smart buildings, smart societies, and something which is more easy on the pocket also for the real estate developers, but at the same time not losing out on the aesthetical and the engineering values of the windows and doors what they provide. Alongside, looking at global warming as the major criteria which is going on, temperatures are rising. I mean, if you look at December, Bombay, do you feel like December in Bombay this time? I don't think so. The temperature is ranging between 28 to 32, which is way too drastic for any winter climatic conditions.
But the problem is that, sir, many policymakers feel that climate change is only a kind of mindset. It's not even a reality.
See, those people sitting in those high powers, they have the right and they have the wisdom to say what they can say and they will say, and they will have part of the audience believing that, but I am no one to comment on those aspects. But what I can comment on as to what we are feeling right now, and I believe even you're feeling the same.
How much has your products and your technologies used in your products changed to make green buildings?
We have something called thermal break systems, and thermal break systems are good, they control the heat insulation in terms of passing on from the exterior to the interior, or the interior to the exterior, depending on what kind of climatic conditions the structure is being built in. So we have these kind of advancements which we weren't looking at before. So we've incorporated that in our windows, which kind of control the conditions moving in and moving out. Alongside, glass plays a major role in this. So performance glass can actually contribute in terms of controlling a lot of temperature, thus bringing down your air conditioning cost per se. So windows have moved drastically. Windows are not things which are hidden behind curtains anymore. They actually play a major role, which is acting as the outer skin of the building.
Absolutely.
They are something which, not just from aesthetic standpoint, but from technical standpoint, they add a lot of value internally and externally. If you do not use the right glass, it might control the heat insulation inside, but it might increase the reflectivity vis-a-vis the heat outside of in a particular city. And as the heat goes up, you're automatically using more of the air conditioning.
Buildings are supposed to be one of the biggest contributors to carbon emissions. Right?
Yes, exactly. So window actually plays a major role in controlling that. And if you use the right window with the right performance glass and the right aluminum, the reason why I'm saying is aluminum, because there are many other materials which are available for windows and doors, but they have a lot of drawbacks when you look at the Indian climatic conditions and the environment which is here. So the good part about aluminum is lighter. So the minute it's lighter, it's more durable. It adds less weight onto the structure. In just a theoretical standpoint. So the minute it adds less weight, it's less energy consumption. So overall,
especially the whole wall is made of.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Actually, I broke into the first question that was about technological advances.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what kind of advances are available today for architects and developers to exploit?
What is happening in today's time is people are believing less is more, more is fantastic. People are talking about minimalistic windows with the same performances. So we've come out with those kind of slimmer sections where can have better visibility to the outside. But at the same time ensuring that, hey, when I operate the window, it should move smoothly. If my housewife is using the window, she can move it nicely. It's not that I believe that it's only the wives who are staying at home, but most of the scenarios, India is kind of moving into the nuclear families, but not moved yet. So when we talk about advances, we talk about not just the product, but the operational aspects as well. So slimmer window is one. Another one is thermal break, like we already discussed about. Another advances that we are talking about is system window, keeping in mind the economical budgetary windows, where the systematic and the hardware and the accessories are still intact, but it's more for the affordable housing, because how the real estate market has turned around, window kind of plays a major role in terms of 5 to 6% of your entire cost, and if that's controlled, you can control a lot of things in terms of energy consumption. So we have something for the affordable housing, we have something for the architects which are looking at less is more, which is the minimalistic windows, and then something we have called combination windows. Mm-hmm. There was a time where construction with the old DP, people are looking at creating balconies and with railings protecting those balconies. What is happening? You're getting more space, mm-hmm. but at the same time, your railings were eating up space as well as adding up cost. What we've done is with combination windows, we've given the bottom fixed till the waist height of an average Indian. So that acts as your railing, that acts as your protection, plus the top sliding part where the window, then you can use it for ventilation and open air space. So what happens that saves up space in terms of FSI, in terms of open space inside the building, plus it saves cost as well as time where a railing would have consumed. So combination window actually, it's like two birds with one stone.
And how many developers or architects actually appreciate that in your experience?
All of them.
Because of their design? All
of them, because they're saving time, they're saving cost, they're saving design aspect, where they had to deal with two vendors, one railing, one windows, if there are two vendors for those expertise. Here they have to deal with one, they're saving up cost, they're saving up time. Time being the major factor. With new RERA clauses, if you're not making a building within a particular timeline, then there are bigger penalties which a builder is already facing so many hardships. You don't want your client, a builder, to face any of the hardships from your end, from a vendor. So we've kind of come up with those solutions and it's working fantastically. Whether you're talking about a high-rise or whether you're talking about a bungalow, everyone's using the scheme.
And in case of budget homes, what are the specific products for that in terms of aluminum doors and windows?
See, budget homes, what happens is, if you see in India, there's a lot of customization when it comes to windows and doors.
Yeah.
In European conditions, if you see, there's a lot of standardization, so you can control cost right from the designing stage. Because there's so much customization, controlling the cost becomes difficult. Budgeting house is not only how thin the aluminum section has to be with the equal strength or how lesser accessories you're using to control the cost, but how much standardization you're getting across the house, and that you have to get it right from the concept stage as well. So if you get the concept stage right with the central state or the builders, any authorities, it takes time. You got to educate people, because windows, again, in the cyclical timeline from wooden to aluminum, the way it's evolved, Windows' importance was not given much, because that time the cities were growing horizontally, not vertically. Sure. So windows used to be safeguarded and protected by grills, so aesthetic value and operational value wasn't there. Sure. Now since cities are growing vertically, it plays an important role. If we standardize things, we can control a lot of costs. That's why we insist and request a lot of designers who definitely understand this aspect to propose to builders to maintain less number of typologies used in the building so that we can control the cost.
In terms of standardization, is there any particular list of wants that kind of demands that you would actually ask the government to set as a policy for developers, especially because now the regulations are getting more and more in place?
Yeah.
So what kind of standardization would you expect?
There are a lot of standardizations, not just across windows and doors, but very different sectors. You talk about MEP, you talk about architecture. What happens, I believe the architects and the professionals in that field would kind of disagree with me, because if you talk about standardization, it takes away from designing possibilities, freedom to design. But at the same time, you can say a controlled design can also, kind of beautify the building and help the builders control their cost. So government can play a lot of big roles in terms of looking at different geographical distributions and the gradients we have across the country as to what kind of window sizes they're maintaining in which region.
Okay.
Even with new development plans and the DCRs that is coming out, if they maintain that, I mean, one rule which has come out is without windows you cannot get the occupation certificate. So that's really important because the building has to be enveloped and covered up completely for anyone to come stay within. OCs were given before without the windows being there. Imagine a smallest nail or a hammer or even a workman working on that particular site falling off. I mean, an individual's life is very important. So government have taken some steps, but yes, it's a long way to go. I think so RERA is a first good step to start off with, and I think many further rules will percolate down to these kind of developments.
Is one of the questions which I often ask accessories industry guys. That is one of the hospital architect.
Okay.
He said that in most cases, in most of the modern hospitals, the ICU does not have a window at all. Okay. Now what happens is, it is absolutely necessary to have a window and sunlight coming into ICU because it's one of the most infected part of the hospital, the ICU.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but even in modern hospitals, you may not see a window at all in the ICU.
Yeah.
So, in that relation, when you talk about government policies for various subsectors of real estate, hospitals, housing, commercial spaces, there is a need for a deeper thought into all these, minute issues.
Yeah.
It's not just about the basic issues, but also about major issues related to windows and doors. Now, according to you, which is the best example as a country for regulations in doors and windows?
I think so when it comes to any kind of engineering, the best country that you follow is Germany. You talk about automobile engineering, architecture engineering, and those are the people that we tend to follow because when we talk about government regulations, especially ICU, they believe modern technology, when we get equipped into that world, we use more of machines, more of mobiles, more of everything for our daily lives, without which we feel we cannot operate.
Right.
But when we talk about windows and doors and building structures, yes, we are looking at several automations with the clap of a hand, or say, hey Google, switch on my light, or hey Google, switch off my light. Those things are possible. But at the same time, we are forgetting that the importance of just nature and natural resources, what they play in our life. There are studies which says कि जितना sunlight आएगा उतना आपके दुनिया में brightness रहेगा. But that's actually true. You need, in a day of air conditioning, artificial conditioning, you need things that are naturally which is flowing into your building, whether it's light, whether it's air. Yes, everything has to be in a controlled manner so that UV rays do not affect us, dust do not affect us. So window plays a very good role in that. There are shading possibilities, there are processing possibilities on glass which does not allow UV rays to come in. So a lot more options are there in that. So I mean Germany, in terms of that per se, in terms of technology and how they used it and how they used environment, they've used windows which kind of gives back to the environment. I mean they are not using, for example, there is certain kind of coating, surface finish that you use. If you're not using the right micron, it releases certain fumes which are not visible to the naked eye, which is harmful to you. Germany has ensured that 90% of their consumption of those kind of shades are not done across the country. So automatically there's less environmental impact when you're using those kind of windows and doors. So I mean, yes, Germany, Italy in terms of designing, USA in terms of controlled regulation, not much on aesthetical aspect, but definitely on controlled regulation when it comes to fenestration.
One Vastu architect once told me that according to Vastu, toilets should have big inlets for sunlight to come in. But in most modern houses, you will never see sunlight at all in the toilets because there is a bar outside which prevents light from coming in because you want to hide the ugliness of the windows, the toilet cleaners. So that's how things work in this country. So now tell me, what are the specific demands that are made by various architects and?
Sorry, Anil, can I go back to that? Emphasizing, I would agree on the Vastu architect of what that gentleman or he or she might be saying, but actually the concern is Vastu does play a big role. The Chinese actually, they do not play to God, they pray to luck, and they believe in completely energy flowing into any kind of construction per se. They are one country that you must follow in terms of how they follow Vastu.
Just
Because they have cities, they have exteriors of Guangzhou which is developed, which is completely based on buildings which are designed as sun and moon, inviting the energy coming from the river body, flowing into the buildings. Every building has hollow structures because they want that energy to flow throughout the city. So, but they could do that because the design concept was done right from day one. If you look at Bombay right now, even if I open my bathroom window, I can see someone else's bathroom. Why do I want to build? Buildings are constructed so close by, you have no privacy at all. So even if you're looking at Vastu angles, you're kind of forced to use either frosted glass or films on your glass to make sure privacy is maintained. Once privacy is maintained, then sunlight doesn't have place.
very true. So yeah, my next question was about what kind of specific demands are made by architects and how do Gita Aluminium meet them? See, I specifically asked you this question because there was this real estate developer in Bangalore who said the culture of various cities differ.
Yeah.
Okay. For instance, the end user in Chennai would insist on traditional buildings, traditional brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Okay. And they wouldn't like to occupy houses which are not following the traditional building structure.
Agreed.
While in Bangalore, first question would be what kind of technology are you using? This is the latest one.
Yes.
Do you use it in Europe? Now
Yes.
that's the question Bangalore end user would ask.
Yeah.
So every city has its culture. So how does companies like yours meet these varied demands from architects?
So, like you said, I would like to kind of back the architects here. It's not the varied demands which are coming from the architects. Our architects are just kind of nurturing the demands which are coming in from the clients. Like you said, Chennai, someone wouldn't want to move into a house. Architect is kind of developing and conceptualizing and designing something what the client wants. So when the client demands a specific kind of demand, we as vendors supporting the architects, we have to come up with those kind of solutions.
Right.
Otherwise, the architects would not prefer us also.
Right.
So what we do is we have regional offices. We take feedback from these regional offices and we inculcate those things in our R&D center where we can come up with solutions. For example, Calcutta has a requirement where they require inbuilt grill in the openable windows. So we have different systems developed for that. Mumbai has moved on to minimalistic windows. So we have developed systems for that. Like you talk about Chennai, Chennai has moved on to thicker windows where they are talking about securities because they are not going for much high rises. So when they are talking about bungalows, they are looking for thicker windows with secured windows. So we've developed multi-point locking for that. We are doing houses in Shillong also. Shillong, we have houses on gradients, maximum exposure of rainwater during monsoon season. So we're looking at better integrated, better gutter systems so that more water can gush out than can move in. So what we do is we come out with these solutions so that architects because you can use any products anywhere. You can use a standardized product also in different regions. But service aspect is the main thing. And if you understand a particular region, then you can help the architect be part of the entire design and influencing stage.
Sir, when you actually said so many things that I could have asked so many questions on it. Let me go to my next point is about, glass facades have become extremely popular, especially in India. I think it's in the 90s when it started.
Yeah.
And I remember the first GIC building in Nariman Point.
Yeah.
Near Churchgate.
Yeah.
It was the first building to come as completely glass. And
Yeah.
I was stunned to watch that.
Yeah.
So now how much has the efficiency of the building, energy efficiency risen because of such structures? And what kind of, what would you advise the architects and developers to follow to make it energy efficient even while having glass facades?
Anil, firstly, I would not anytime advise the architects or the builders because I would generally take more advice from them because they are well versed and they understand the energy efficiency concept really well.
No, from the product point of view, you will have a better idea of what is viable and what
yes,
is not.
because what happens is energy efficiency is a concept which starts right from the designing stage. If we understand a particular settlement of a building as to where it's coming, where the sun rays is going to fall, what kind of gradients it's going to fall, what kind of wind pressure we are facing on either the south side or the west side, what kind of water pressure we are facing from any of the sides. Right from designing stage itself, the concept comes in how energy efficient each product will play. So then we go to excavation, construction, operational aspects, building materials, and then execution. every small step plays in energy efficiency. Plus the timeline we execute the project in also plays in energy efficiency. There's no point using the best energy efficient or green material and we're not constructing or finishing the project in the right time. You're using those many resources for that extra time, which is kind of loses the purpose of energy efficient. Now coming back to our products, again, like carrying forward from the previous question that we are talking about, the right amount of, how the window is placed, the orientation of the window, which area it's facing, right amount of shading, right amount of aluminum with right amount of glass, all these small aspects play a very big role. Then breaking down further, if you're talking about aluminum, when you're looking at thermal break sections, if you're talking about glass, then you're looking at performance glass. All these small aspects do add up into energy efficient solutions from our end. So what we suggest is we do not have one single solution for a particular building or buildings across the city. We need to understand where that settlement is coming and how the conditions are across that building.
True.
So once we understand that, customized solutions can be provided.
Okay, which essentially means that you have to be involved right from the concept stage.
Yes.
How many developers actually do that?
Very few, but many of them have started doing that because they understand it's a process.
I remember most of the accessories industry, representatives would have the same complaint that we are not involved right from the concept stage.
Yeah.
Especially a room like this, which is using all kinds of technology. After everything is done, the technology guys bought in and told to make it into the latest technology. That may not be possible because they already made all the walls, all the structures are up and running.
Yeah.
So what is your advice there for involvement of in the kind of accessories industry representatives?
I think so. I would rightly suggest that, like I said, right from the concept stage to involve us, and many builders have started doing that. We don't find project actually kind of lifting off in 2020, but people have involved us in 2017 and 18, and which is fantastic. Because like you rightly said, once things are constructed, then we cannot look at energy efficient or technological advancements then, because it will require more time and more breakage and adding. So, yes, design stage, it's important, and architects and builders, they are more sound in terms of how this is important, and they've understood this. And since again, a compressed city or compact city like Mumbai, which kind of sets an example or sets a bar for the entire country, where that kind of incorporation is happening, I think so architects and builders are already doing that. So I believe they are on point with this entire concept.
In 1 minute, tell us about your future plans.
Future plans.
Where are you right now, and what's your, do you have any export from India? Does other companies abroad do sourcing from you? What kind of business happens to you?
See, what happens when we talk about aluminum in India, it's kind of even the neighboring countries besides the SAARC nations, those are the only points you can look at for exports, and we've actually started doing that. We've just finished a bungalow scheme in Seychelles. We've exported to Bhutan as well for the Bhutanese government. We've made Tata Housing's windows in Maldives. So we've done a bunch of these projects, but export is something for Indian aluminum companies. It'll still take time because a lot more technological advanced options are available in neighboring countries. Talking about us, where we are standing, I think so we can proudly say that we were the first guys to come up with a showroom concept, the touch and feel concept of our products in India, and we've kind of opened up.
Where is that?
We have 32 across India. And we're proud of that because that's a concept which kind of makes end customer understand the importance of our products, but at the same time giving them the opportunity of experiencing the entire thing before they purchase the same thing. Because we don't leave any options to ifs and buts as to हाँ हम ये खरीदेंगे तो क्या होएगा, मैं इतना महंगा खरीद रहा हूँ एल्यूमिनियम के लिए केजी का भाव ये चल रहा है. No, आप क्या चीज़ खरीद रहे हैं, प्रोडक्ट खरीद रहे हैं, कमोडिटी नहीं. तो आप जब प्रोडक्ट खरीदते हैं तो उसमें फ़र्क रहता है. आप प्रोडक्ट खरीदते हैं तो उसके साथ सर्विस खरीदते हैं, and that's what we stand by. Talking about service, because this sector is so unorganized, you'll be surprised that most of the international brands and companies like us, we are still in the 10% segment. 90% of the segment of this industry is still unorganized. So our idea is, because we've been there for last 5 decades, our idea is we have to really uplift the game of the workmanship of the fabricators, of the B2B guys in this industry. So we've already trained more than 2000 fabricators over the last 8 to 10 years. Our idea is to have even with the smallest form of institution, where these guys have a place to go, have a place to learn, have a place to uplift the game, and have a place to service the customers better. Sometimes people have the best of products but not the best service, and they fail at that end. Sometimes people have not a good product but they know how to service, but they fail at that end. So the idea is, why a particular fabricator who's been in this industry for last 3 decades cannot serve his customer because of new products which are out there or new players are out there.
True.
Every single individual should not lose interest in this market, because then otherwise who will be? So to have those kind of small institutions, and yes, this showroom concept, since it's clicked, it's helped customers understand our importance. Our idea is to open, you can say, another 150 to 170 showrooms in another 3 years. So reach a mark of, you can say, 200 odd showrooms.
How do you meet the competition for the SMEs?
How do we meet? See, competition is something we cannot avoid, and only thing you can say that our prompt service and our before and after sales service is something that we kind of rely on completely and kind of bank on, because building material is something, it's a service oriented segment.
Correct.
You will have the best of products. You can drive a Mercedes but give the worst tires, your car won't work. So we believe in the same concept. If you give the best of products, you need to have better service. So our plus point or USP on deflating anyone or kind of standing up against anyone in that particular region is our service. Whether it starts from giving a quotation to the inquiry or listening to a complaint once the window is installed, we have to be prompt. 48 hours is something what we're looking at in terms of replying back to our customers.
Okay. And sir, there is also one interesting aspect. Recently there was this Safe Mumbai seminar, in which the Mumbai Fire Department said that access industries have to be involved in the fire safety of every construction that happens. In terms of aluminum doors and windows, how can it help in curtailing the fire spreading in a building?
Anil, I'll frankly tell you, fire department, मतलब utmost respect to the fire department. 2010 में हमने seminar किया था उनके साथ, advising them and kind of telling them as to the importance of aluminum in tall structures, कि कैसे हमको ACP sheets avoid करना चाहिए जिसके बीच में polyethylene आती है, because with that's combustible. It's like putting a petrol tank onto your building और फिर बोल देते हैं जला के अच्छा इसको कैसे बुझाएंगे. We do not have fire ladders which are going beyond a certain point where the buildings are constructed. Absolutely. So why put products which are combustible? Aluminium is a good conductor of heat, but at the same time it cools off faster than it heats. So aluminum does not pass fire.
Correct.
Until and unless it has a component, whether it's a plastic component or a wooden component, which spreads the fire. So aluminum, it's kind of the futuristic product till the time it doesn't have any plastic grade products. I'm really happy certain states have taken a call on banning certain plastics, but they've done it below a certain micron. It's still not addressed the fire causing factors in building material, because those are beyond certain microns. So अगर हम लोग वो भी address करेंगे तो it'll change the game and it'll help the fire department as to avoid fires before it even catches.
Last question is, what is the advice to real estate developers and architects? 20 seconds, sir.
Advice is no advice, just use Geeta Aluminum where you can, because we believe in our products and I believe in you can, and we believe in that service aspect across India, so we can serve you where you want.
What would be the USP that your aluminum products have, so that developers can...
We have a range from 350, which is for affordable housing, to 3,000 for the luxury sector. And the best part is we can service this pre and post sales anywhere, anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anil.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.